Late last week, Obama did something else. He paused the construction of the pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline, within 20 miles of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe's lands. But I seem to think, and from my point of view, that there's an ulterior motive here, that this was just kind of to suppress the pressure that had been quickly growing. And, this was a huge issue the mainstream media covered in their own way, and I think they presented a false narrative. But your show did an amazing job of covering it. What do you think the real game plan is from our government, and why is it important that we keep the pressure on to save this water?
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it on the head. The report we did on the Standing Rock protests going on there last week on Redacted Tonight didn't cover this halting because it happened the same day and we didn't have time to get it in there. But my blog at leakcamp.net, at first I posted a blog that was like, breaking news, Obama halts the pipeline, and for now. But you look at the details, and a couple of days later, I updated it and gave a more nuanced view of it. But you're right in that there's ulterior motives, and it's not what it seems. It only halts. It's less than 3% of the pipeline, so 97% of it will go through even now, even with this so-called halting. Secondly, it's a voluntary action, so it's the Army Corps of Engineers asking the corporation, if you please, don't continue this 3%, this whatever number of miles, while we take a better look at what it's going to do to the water and the environment. But it's a voluntary halting by the corporation at the request of the Army Corps of Engineers. And then on top of that, it's really just for the time being. So it just seems like a way of punting the ball past the election so that it can chill out the protests, which are growing immense. I mean, there's photos of thousands upon thousands of people showing up in North Dakota, because I think most people realize this isn't just about North Dakota. This is about a corporation's right to tear up your land and meanwhile arrest you for trespassing for trying to stop it. And, this story goes, that story of the whole thing goes hand in hand with the fact that Amy Goodman now has a charge out for her arrest, a warrant out for her arrest. This is a well-known journalist with Democracy Now!, because she filmed the dog attacks on protesters and reported on it. And so now they want to arrest a reporter for trespassing because she showed us that they were using attack dogs on protesters. And if that's not a totalitarian fascist government to arrest reporters like that for showing what goes on by these corporate security firms, then, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so something that amazed me was the fact that Mateen, I forgive me for forgetting his full name, but the shooter in the Orlando shooting worked for the same private security firm that brought those attack dogs. And that kind of just blew my mind, like one of those what the hell's going on here type things. So I know you're busy.
I didn't know that, but it's the perfect example of how the corporations and really the rich in general have turned to these types of private security, which seem to be not bound by law, in order to protect their wealth and protect their exploitation of all of our resources, because that's what this is. And so when you are destroying people's way of life and our well-being and our water supply, they know people are eventually going to stand up. Sure, we put up with it for a long time, but eventually people are going to start standing up. And what do? Well, you need militarized police, and if the police aren't able to do it, then you put in the private security with the dogs. And this is what, when you have immense inequality like this, immense wealth inequality, and a destruction of the environment, the only way to continue the exploitation against protests and the such is with militarized police and security firms.